lot of people that work in their day jobs, but they want to do something more meaningful. I'm like, don't quit your job. How can you use that work to really do something inspiring? And so that's how the BCorp movement started.
Jacqui is the co-founder of the Singapore Eco Film Festival and B Lab representative. She's going to be sharing with us on stories to protect the environment. Tell us a little bit about your journey and how you got to where you are now.
Well, basically, I've always done the same thing. I first started making films when I was about 3 years old. Me and my brothers used to make films in our backyard, and I have always wanted to do something around the environment. I grew up in a national park, so it was quite a natural progression to go from making films as a kid to actually start a film production company when I was 16, to then go on and actually make documentaries. And through that, I got the opportunity to meet amazing people and travel around the world. And it's kind of led me to Singapore, where I think is really the hub of social innovation and companies doing incredible things. So yeah, that's kind of my journey so far.
That's amazing. What was it like growing up on a wildlife park?
Well, yeah, I mean, when you grow in harmony with nature and you live in a forest, I think it really connects you to, it's very real. You know, we kind of get detached to nature, especially living in Singapore. So growing up, it really made me realize the importance of what we have and to protect our surroundings, so yeah.
So I guess that's probably where your passion came from about sustainability and really sharing stories with the filmmaking. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about how that passion was kind of ignited on the story side and why you do what you do now.
Yeah. So having traveled around most of the countries in the world, the one thing I saw is that we have the solutions already. So pretty much any social environmental problem, you look at climate change, you look at deforestation, we actually do have the solutions already. One of the issues we have is how do you scale them? And so through storytelling, I believe it's a way to really share really visionary ideas or really cool solutions that then help scale those solutions. It's the same working with companies. You can kind of have an incredible NGO organization making one solution, but then how do you scale that? Companies have networks all around the world, so that's kind of the progression of where I got. Like, story has the power to really change opinions and really move people and inspire people to make a difference.
Absolutely. And so tell us a little bit more about the Singapore Eco Film Festival. So where did that idea come from?
Because we're crazy. Basically, one thing, I love Singapore, and there's so many organizations here. So I was basically spending all my week meeting all of these incredible organizations in Singapore doing incredible work. And I think every day I would meet someone doing something incredible for the environment. And there's a lot of films and a lot of stories that are quite negative around environmental solutions. We wanted to find a space or create a festival that really celebrates the solutions that we have, again, to share and scale their ideas. So the Singapore Eco Film Festival is really a community-driven event. It's all run by volunteers. It's a 3-day event where we bring the entire community together. Anyone can come and get involved. And we try and pick films which are really inspiring. We picked an award called the Pangolin Power Award, which is to award the most inspiring film which moves people to action, instead of just being the most, the most frightening or the most moving film, that kind of thing, yeah.
Yeah. So in kind of like the next few years, where do you hope to see it go? Like, what do you hope to achieve?
For me, our goal is by 2020 that the Singapore Eco Film Festival can kind of expand beyond Singapore. So we're already looking at Southeast Asia. I have a partner in Indonesia. I think it's something that eco film festivals, there are quite a lot of communities already. So empowering more young people, I would love actually to set up a fund to actually help young filmmakers in Singapore and Southeast Asia to make more environmental films. That's probably another one of my ulterior motives, is to actually inspire more young filmmakers and storytellers. So the film festival, to me, I hope by 2020 and beyond, becomes a platform where people can actually learn how to make films, share their films, meet other filmmakers, maybe meet other people that are not filmmakers, but maybe they're working in companies, or that can help them to kind of scale and stir up this community. So yeah, really it's just a community of people that love the environment and want to have fun once a year at a festival.
Beautiful. So I guess if there's any young people, young aspiring filmmakers watching, you know who to go to. So I'd like to pick up on this idea that you talk about protecting our environment in Singapore and beyond, and really working towards a sustainable future with story. So what do you think the biggest challenge in achieving that is?
I think really, like I said, if we have the solutions already, how are we actually going to take action to scale them and implement them as quickly as possible? Because we really don't have enough time to kind of continue talking about these ideas that we can do, we need to basically take whatever we have, whatever solution, whatever area it's in, and run with it, build it, scale it, expand it. So to me, I think one of the missing things, or one of the most important things right now, is partnerships. I think if there's anyone out there that has like an idea, the first thing to do is map out your ecosystem. Who are the people that can support you? And then once you build these communities, once you build these networks, I think that's probably going to be the biggest thing that will change the world, yeah.
Absolutely. So I guess, how do we actually ignite that passion in people to actually take that first step or to make that first change to protecting the environment? And as you said, you know, taking a stance or actually following that idea. How do we ignite that passion?
I think that question is why I became a filmmaker, or at least that's why I became a storyteller. When someone sees a story that they relate to, that moves them, that inspires them, that is something that can really change your life. I know a lot of people that have seen a film and within 24 hours have maybe become vegan or maybe gone on this crazy journey within their life. So storytelling really has a power to change people's opinion. It has a way to scale ideas really quickly. If you look at not just like making a big documentary, but even like these cross-platforms now, like digital storytelling, finding stories and sharing them through social media, these storylines of photos and crowdsourced stories where everyone is sharing the same experience. So you think about the haze in Southeast Asia, everyone's sharing these photos and creating these kind of a collective journey of stories. So yeah, to me, storytelling is probably the best way to ignite that passion, because it also might be something that people are not even aware of, especially in Singapore. You know, it's like, I don't know, seeing problems that they never thought about before, and suddenly they realize that they can actually do something about it.
And so I guess like looking at that though, so that's amazing to like ignite the first passion, but what about sustaining it? Because, you know, we have the haze and obviously everyone, you know, complains about it, gets on social media, you know, whines and feels a little disempowered, but then we forget about it when we have this beautiful clean air again. So how do we kind of sustain, you know, these kind of supports and these passions in people?
So I can be a little bit controversial here and say money. So actually, by having a profitable idea, becoming financially sustainable is a really good way to sustain that idea. So I work a lot with companies or with social entrepreneurs to try and find a business model. There's actually nothing wrong with profit and money. It's just how you make that profit and what your idea is. And to me, it's all about value. If you can find something that you really care about, and maybe it's a river that you really want to protect, I'm sure there is someone out there that has that shared value, whether it's ecotourism, whether it's some kind of product to protect the river. So I think to me, finding a business model and partnering with other business models is probably the best way to make an idea sustainable, because then it's long term and it lasts beyond you. It can be a legacy. You can get other people to come on board. So yeah.
That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing. So can you share some examples of some of the most exciting change that you've actually seen around the region?
There's been so much. I think one of the best things that I've seen that I haven't seen as much around the world, so in Singapore, is the youth movement. Specifically, young, female, very ambitious students that have come together. Here we have a lot of very driven young students that run, climate change initiatives. I know there's a girl with Up 2 Degrees. All of these kind of very grassroots community movements, to me, is probably the most inspiring. Sandra, the founder of Up 2 Degrees, basically she had this idea to raise awareness around climate change by increasing the temperature of your air conditioner in Singapore. And to me, that is so visceral. It is so something that anyone can understand. You know, everyone in Singapore has very cold air conditioning, and by simply increasing that temperature, you're reducing the energy consumption, and therefore you're actually protecting the environment. So these kinds of grassroots campaigns that are very clever, that have a very clear message, that's creating shared value, I think are really special. So I don't know, that's just one example, but honestly, the whole reason we have the film festival is that there are so many to celebrate, yeah.
Yeah, I think what Sandra was able to achieve within her period as well, and just the simplicity of the idea, but the strength in it is so commendable. So tell us now a little bit about the BCorp movement and how, kind of what is BCorp firstly, and how do you see the movement happening and taking off in Asia?
Yeah, so I guess the BCorp movement essentially is a certification. So a B Corp company is a company that has a B Corp certification, which means that they adhere to very kind of stringent social environmental policies. In Singapore, it's quite a new movement, but it's actually started in the US and throughout Europe. It's been very fast as a standard way to do business and to use business as a force for good. So we're trying to kind of build that movement here for companies that perhaps want to become a social enterprise, or even they just want to make sure that they're adhering to proper, responsible ways of doing business practice. So the B Corp itself is a certification, but actually in reality, it's a community movement of people using business for good. And so I got involved in that again because I saw that a lot of people that work in their day jobs, but they want to do something more meaningful. I'm like, don't quit your job. How can you use that work to really do something inspiring? And so that's how the B Corp movement started.
Yeah, I think that's really great that there's these kind of certifications and that it's building these communities around the idea of doing business for good and actually educating that it can be done and that there's such honor in that as well. So what is your favorite documentary that you think everybody here should watch?
So this is cheating a little bit, but can I say Happy Feet? So it's absolutely not a documentary at all, but to me, the most important thing in a story is to be inspiring and to be energizing and to make you want to get out there and save the world and stop climate change and do all of these things. So when I watched Happy Feet, that's what happened to me. I mean, I know it's a children's animation and maybe I'm just a child, but I love these kinds of stories that really get you excited about an idea and get you inspired. And that's, again, something that I'd love to see for the Singapore Eco Film Festival, to kind of start making these films. Because if we make very kind of sad and depressing films, I'm not sure it's going to move people to action. But when you show them that, hey, listen, Elon Musk, we can go to Mars, we can make solar-powered cars. It's possible. Look, here's the model. And you really kind of lift this movement. That's what I want to drive into Singapore and Southeast Asia, that we have the solutions already, we can scale them, and I would love to see more films like that. So I can't think off the top of my head a documentary that's really been able to capture that. So mostly Pixar.
Go Pixar and Happy Feet. So, okay, we'll just end on, you've got some really amazing, inspiring stories that have come out through this interview. And I'd love, for everyone to walk away with a first action that you think they should take right now. If they really want to make change or support stories, like what is your one action that you think everyone should start with?
Yeah. So the reason that I've been able to achieve everything that I've done so far is through surrounding myself with people that genuinely love me, love what we're doing, and believe in that vision. And I think that's the first thing for anyone that wants to do something with their life, is to find those people around you. Build that support network, that ecosystem. Find collaborators. You don't want to start a new organization, right? So go and find another organization that perhaps shares your vision, shares your value. And if you can, don't quit your job. Actually find ways to use your job as a way that might actually have more impact. Because what's worse, if you leave that job, someone else, maybe less considerate for the environment, less empathetic, is going to take over. And you don't want to leave all of these big multinational companies with those kinds of people in charge, because they do have a lot of power. So I'd love to kind of inspire everybody to look around them and find people that they can collaborate with and build up their ecosystem for change.
That's beautiful. Well, Jacqui, thank you so much for joining us and for sharing all your wonderful work as a victim. Thank you.